Welcome to Subramani. This is going to be a little difficult for me to do because I have to accept some of the mistakes that I made. Uh, Largely, I have lost money with promoters or promoters consultants because of the mistakes that I made. First of all, so let me just tell you the mistakes which I made. First of all, when you meet a promoter, it's very important to know that most promoters are good, especially if they've reached that 200, 300 crore kind of turnover, and they have good ability to communicate. So the way they communicate is a chance that you will get carried away. And when you are a young person, when you're 32, 33, and you meet these promoters, you get intimidated also by their communication skills. So some of them are very good and they will give you figures like 23.9% of my products are being exported, and you're saying, wow, he really knows the details. When you sit down and see, it may not be true. Or when he says that this is the amount of exports that I do and this is my turnover, if you do a quick back of the envelope calculation, you may realize that India does not export that much of that product, right? So some of these things you may not check back, especially when people throw big numbers. I mean, I've seen many politicians, when they throw numbers about the development which is happening and ratios which are happening, it's very difficult for you to write down all that and sit and actually check whether it is true or false and on what basis it is made, right? So when an insurance company say our claim settlement ratio is so much, you do not know what goes into the numerator and what goes into the denominator. So how have I lost money? I've lost money to somebody who is very good at communicating. The product used to be good, product used to make money, then they overreached, they took too much of debt, and they then just went kaput. The person I used to know who was heading that business or who was part of that business with other brothers, he's now dead. So there is no way how I can go back and check what he was doing, what he was saying, etc. So that chapter is closed. Of course, I didn't lose much money in that, but I learned one very important lesson, that when you are talking to a very good communicator, you need to know that he may just be a good communicator and he may not really understand much of the subject. So to think that all intelligent people will have a lot of money is another mistake which we make, because I don't think intelligence and money are really connected. So some person who is very intelligent, who can see what is going wrong in other people's life, may not be able to see what is going wrong in his own life. So typically he or she will never admit to making mistakes. They will, I mean, if I am the fund manager, I'm bound to say, oh, this happened because of COVID, the industry didn't do well, because of which there was this crisis. I would rather blame the environment for whatever went wrong rather than taking the blame myself. So I wouldn't take the blame myself because I don't need to, because I'm not lost my money, I've lost somebody else's money. So I have to just have good stories of what happened because of which they lost money, right? So if you're a consultant to a big group which is a fraud group, let's say it's a fraudulent group, but you don't realize that it's a fraud till you get cheated, right? So you meet the promoter, you meet the promoter's consultant who is well qualified and who's again, like I said, a good communicator, who's able to tell you the story. The more intelligent and well qualified a person, the better the storyteller he or she is. So he or she tells you a story which is very believable. So you keep putting money into it till at some stage you say, okay, I'm not going to put good money after bad money, right? So unless you have countervailing, somebody else telling you, like here was a listed company about which one advisor was giving me completely wrong information, in the sense that I'm not blaming him. He was telling me things which he thought were true. The problem is he was himself getting cheated. He was not getting the full picture. He was, and maybe, so again, he blame you. What do? You blame the environment, you blame the other competitors, you blame you blame RBI, you blame Fed, you blame SBI, you blame whomever you want, right? Because there is no way how you can go and check what really happened. Here was a big group which was cheating people, and I was convinced that the share was worth buying even though the share was falling. But luckily for me, my broker stopped me from buying that, and so instead of 20,000 shares which I should have bought, I bought only 600 shares, and really I must build a temple for him because of the money that he saved me. right? So I got saved there. But again, the problem of a good communicator, a trustworthy person, not very greedy, well educated, and trying to tell you something which was happening, which was actually not happening. And the problem is where the person who is communicating to you does not know what is happening, then you are in trouble. The other thing which happens is when the person whom you are communicating and you think he or she is in control, he is the chairman of the company, and you think that person is in control, but this is not, that person is not in control. Maybe his wife is in control, his brother is in control, his son is in control, and they are running havoc in the company. They are not telling him the full truth, right? So this has also happened, that here was the chairman of a company telling me what was happening, and the truth was something very different. How do you know how much to trust a person when he comes out with a very solid designation like chairman, right? You then realize that okay, he had no clue about what was happening, or he had a clue and some things he had to hide, right? Some things he knew and he had to hide, some things which he didn't know and he was being conned, right? So all this combination happens from the interlocutor when he tells you some of these things which he himself may not believe. Sometimes he believes and sometimes he doesn't believe. Then you get to ask very simple questions. You've been a consultant with them for so long, does he pay you a good fee? And he says, yeah, he pays me a good fee. Now he has not paid me for 3 months. Now he has not paid me for 6 months. Very innocently. Then you realize that the consultant is actually being had, but doesn't know, because the only truth about any relationship is, are you making money out of that relationship? Is there cash? Or is it just something which, I do pro bono, right? So when I'm doing some pro bono work, there is no expectation that I will make some money. That is different. But if I have to be paid fees, I have to be better, I have to be paid fees, I have to be very sure. If I'm doing work for some mutual fund, I'm never worried whether they will pay me, right? So it doesn't matter to me. I know I can do the work and claim the bill after some time and I will get paid. I don't have a problem. Could be some procedural problems that GST certificate is needed or PAN number is needed or something like that, but not really a problem of whether they will pay. But when a promoter is failing and a promoter is in bad shape and is telling you things, or the consultant in between is telling you things, then the question is, if the world is telling you something and this man is telling you something else, why would you depend on this man? Why not ask the world what is happening? So similarly, in this case, what happened, I'm not naming them because that company is still alive, they're still trying to sell it off. So I don't want to talk about them, but when this consultant was telling me things, I didn't realize things were so bad because I did not ask the consultant basic things like, are you being paid on time? And he was not being paid on time, so he himself lost a lot of money. So it's not as though the consultant was trying to cheat me, it is that the consultant himself didn't know what was happening in the exact truth. So the consultant was also now blaming the environment and things like that, which he was actually hearing from the promoter and not being able to interpret it well. Now this is my problem, that I spoke to him and not directly to the promoter. Then I realized what a mistake I was making. So but of course this whole thing happened about 15 years back. I was younger and I had not learnt my lessons. So 2-3 such lessons, and then trusting people because they belong to a particular community. Oh, this community does not lie, this community will not tell you lies like this, etc., etc. And also say, I trust him. The problem is we can trust a lot of people, but you do not know how that person will behave during difficult times. When times are bad, how will that person behave? You have no clue, right? So then slowly when you collect all that data and when you talk only to one consultant, ask people around him or her and then take decisions. This is more in case of investing in companies which are either listed, freshly listed or about to be listed. This is not true for mutual funds, etc. But even in mutual funds, you have to find out whether the fund manager has the humility to accept that this happened because of why this happened, rather than is he blaming the environment. Then be sure that if a person says, I have been dealt bad times, right? The market is in a recession, therefore I couldn't perform. That is still okay, but you have to understand that you can't choose the markets. You have to only choose your strategy. So see what this person is saying. So if any person is very intelligent and talking very well, listen to him or her, but give it time, give it 2 months, give it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then make investment claims. When they don't admit, when they don't have the humility to admit that they made mistakes, when they are too brazen about it, be scared. You can be friendly, but it does not mean you should invest. Thank you. Continuing my mistakes, even though I said thank you, I forgot that a very intelligent person, when he is communicating to you and when his company is in trouble, he comes out with extremely complex solutions, expecting the Prime Minister's nod, the Reserve Bank's nod, another banker's nod, State Bank's nod, other lenders' nod, and customers' nod, and things like that. Now, this is not true, right? For most companies, if they've gone wrong with finances, there could be some simple solutions. But when you are very intelligent, you want very complex solutions involving so many people, and that normally in India does not happen unless the government really wants it to happen. For example, reviving of Satyam happened because somebody at the top really wanted it to happen. Somebody wanted to take it over, or somebody wanted some solutions, right? Satyam was the first one. So buying Satyam at 7 rupees or 17 rupees, whenever it went down to, was a very intelligent thing to do in retrospect. But normally in India, in such conditions, companies just go from 0 to 0, right? It just stays there. Look at Jet Airways. All those who bought shares of Jet Airways have gone to doom. Anybody who bought any share which thinking that now they are in trouble and they will come out of trouble and therefore it will do well, are wrong. It does not happen. But Satyam was an exception. So if you bought shares in Satyam, you got a lesson that when things go wrong, the government will step in and cure, and therefore you will make money. It is wrong, because in ILFS that has not happened. So there are very difficult lessons to learn. Does a complex problem need a complex solution? Yes, in case of ILFS. No, in case of Satyam. In Satyam, somebody could step in, somebody could solve the problem and come out of it. Maybe it was a simpler problem. In ILFS, has the problem been solved? No, we have heard about the ILFS problem for a very long time. Now, if you have a very intelligent person with whom you are talking, or who believes that he is very intelligent, he is bound to tell you that look, it requires very complex solutions, and because we have a very complex problem, so this is what we will do, this is what we will do, etc., etc., without realizing that the only job the job which cash can do, only cash can do, right? So here was this person saying, oh, we are going to earn money from this business, from that business, etc., but they had to junk all the businesses. So he was saying that they will not sell any of the businesses, but they had to sell off many of their businesses. Those businesses are doing well because they had to sell it, right? So some of these things happen. So when you are dealing with a very intelligent human being or dealing with a very intelligent group, the question to ask is, what is he or what is the business doing, not what they are saying. That does not really matter. What is the cash flow? Is the cash flow really good? So are they spending money sensibly? Are they just blowing a lot of money? If they're blowing a lot of money, that's a good red flag for you to pick up and say, okay, they are having cash flow problems on one side, on the other side they stay only in 5-star hotels, they want to meet only in 5-star hotels and things like that. So pick up all these signals from various places and then you decide on the promoter. This is nothing to do with mutual fund investing. This is more to do with direct equity investing. Thank you.